So this is for response 6, and basically the reason why I chose to use a video was I had in my other lectures learned of a great example of how basically it's not how the message is, it's not what the message is, it's rather how it's relayed is what's important. And the example was the Kennedy and Nixon presidential debate, and basically for viewers who had listened to the debate only through the radio, it was very evident to them that Nixon had won because it sounded just that he had good arguments, and he just sounded like a stronger competitor compared to Kennedy. However, the people who did view the debate through television, they actually had seen Nixon as the lesser competitor because it was evident that he was sweating, and when he was sweating he was seen as weaker, and it seemed that he didn't really know what he was doing, or it was viewed as that because he was perspirating. And the reason that he was, it was so evident that he was sweating and not as much as Kennedy is that Kennedy chose to wear stage makeup. However, Nixon denied wearing it. So unfortunately, because of that, visually it appeared as if that he had lost that presidential debate for the viewers who were watching the debate rather than just listening. So that's basically why I chose to do the video. So for the reflection part of it, so basically I'm going to talk about a time where I didn't use any technology, and that was this summer. For 2 weeks straight, I didn't have my phone or my computer. I was totally cut off from my friends back home, and I went and volunteered in Africa by myself. I didn't know anyone, I just wanted to do it, and I went and did it. And basically, in the beginning, I was going through like withdrawal, almost like a drug, because it is seen as an addiction almost. And I was in the airport by myself, and I didn't know what to do, because whenever I'm in a crowded space and I don't know anyone, I go to my crutch, which is my cell phone, and I'll text someone, or I'll try to stay in communication with someone I do know, so I feel more comfortable in an environment that I don't know anyone. And it was very weird in the beginning. However, throughout the trip, it almost pushed me out of my comfort zone because I didn't have this extra crutch, and it allowed me to feel more relaxed because it was less pressure to always be in communication with people from like my old high school, or my boyfriend, or anyone, or my family, or anything like that. It was very, I felt very relieved. As well, it allowed me to get closer to people on this trip that I had a lot in common with, because I didn't have the distraction of a technology. I was able to talk to them face to face and get to know them as a person, rather through, which I normally would through technology as an assistant. I can also understand, though, through the trip how people did feel frustrated. I can understand through this process, like this reflection of when people are isolated from technology, how some might feel frustrated because we are so accustomed to using technology all the time. I can understand how they felt almost that it was unnecessary, and they didn't know what to do with themselves and everything like that. However, I did find it very relaxing. The two certain medias, well, I guess why they might be frustrated is because Facebook and BlackBerry, they have the addiction as well, as a lot of young people do today, to always keep updating and always being connected with people you know. And they probably felt like because they weren't always on Facebook, they weren't always on BlackBerry, they were losing out on something, or they're missing out on something, and they just had that twitch, they needed to get on it. However, I didn't feel that way. I felt very relaxed, and I very much enjoyed my time. A quote relevant to the experience that I went through was said by McLuhan, and it it went like this. The medium or process of our time, electronic technology, is reshaping and restructuring patterns of social interdependence in every aspect of our personal life. It is forcing us to reconsider and reevaluate particularly every thought, every action, every institution formerly taken for granted. Everything is changing, whether it's you, your family, your friends, like everything around you is changing because of technology. I specifically find that when I use technology, these mediums that I had been without in Africa, they normally isolated myself, and they forced me to communicate through them, as opposed to normally you would think people would want to feel comfortable talking face to face, but that technology made me rely on it, made me feel like not as confident as talking face to face with people, which isn't a good thing. And it made me accustomed to interact through it, which was very revealing when I was without it. It's almost like these technologies are devolving us, and they're making us so much more reliant on them, and it's taking away from how we've come so far as people. And it's for example of this is the technology, like how it affects our communication skills, is if you call someone and you're talking to your grandma and maybe you just called to say thank you for a gift or something like that, but the conversation's going on, and in the back of your mind you're thinking, oh, I just need to hang up, I want to hang up, but obviously it's rude, you're not going to hang up. So normally now, instead of calling grandma to thank her for a gift or something, you're going to email her, or you could text her now, so it's less personal and it's direct and you say what you need to say, but it takes away from the experience that you would have, like the interaction you would have with your actual family member. So it's quick and easy to do, but it also takes away from the personal, and it makes it very machine-like, that it's just an automation, like you automatically say something and you're done with it. When it's your family, you should take more time and effort and put into it. As well, with the continuing on with generations, as in the grandma and like your mother and everything like that, they don't really understand this. And McLuhan goes on to say that electronic technology fosters and encourages unification and involvement. It is impossible to understand social and cultural changes without the knowledge of the working of media. And these generations, they don't really understand it because they're not really as involved in this as we are. We internalize these mediums, and we project and we communicate with people through these mediums, and we choose to do that, and we've learned how to do that, and we're accustoming ourselves to new mediums, and we're constantly learning. But these generations, they don't understand that, and they don't really want to start to internalize the mediums and rely on technology. So when you learn to operate these mediums, you understand it, and when you understand it, you internalize it, and when you internalize it, you use it to communicate with people. But they just don't have the time to do it, and nor do they think they'll understand it, and I don't know if it's out of their league more, or it's just they're not that interested into it as we are. And unfortunately, in this day and age, in this era, you kind of need to know how it's more common for people, like you need to know how to use these technologies, especially for university students. If you're going out in the world in business, like it's going to probably be common to use Facebook and look up employees and look up potential customers. Like you need to kind of know how to use these different mediums to be successful in the business world today. Another quote McLuhan says about the generations that I found relevant was, youth instinctively understands the present environment, the electric drama. It lives mythically and in depth. And this is the reason for a great alienation between generations. Like I was saying, they just don't understand. And they just don't understand, and they don't want to internalize these new things. And like, for instance, my mom was flabbergasted when I said that on my trip I did not miss my cell phone or anything like that. And unfortunately, like with technology, like I feel like it's almost like you should take that time. Like this reflection, you're supposed to isolate yourself from technology, and I feel like it's almost healthy for us to take that time, because it is so much anxiety. It creates so much anxiety doing the constant communication and these expectations that Facebook, like all your friends want to know all the time what you're doing, and because you have a BlackBerry, people think you'll email like them back right away once they sent you an email. It's just very kind of frustrating. And I really did appreciate my time I had myself without the extension of media always with me. And then, so Kay then goes on to say, I read McLuhan's Understanding Media and understood that the most important thing about any communications medium is that the message recipient is really the message recovery. Anyone who wishes to receive a message embedded in a medium must first have internalized the medium so it can be subtracted or out to leave the message behind. When the median is the message, he meant that you have to become the median if you use it. So when you normally receive a message, you internalize it. You have to understand how it's presented to you. It's more important you understand how it's presented to you as opposed to actual message. So that's why people are always upset with the Facebook changes. They like how they liked that they took the time and understand the median. They liked how they took the time to understand Facebook's layout and how they receive a message and how they can communicate with their friends. And when they do all these changes, people are frustrated because they have to learn and internalize the median all over again, and it's very frustrating. And unfortunately, this day and age, it's very common that this concept of human interface, humans need to be connected to technology, and that's just common for the time. But unfortunately, we need to take the time to be and not be so codependent on technology, because I don't think it's healthy for us as a species. I feel like it's making us more cold, and it's making us more less personal with each other. And I feel like if you can take the time to call people or talk face to face, I feel like it means much more than talking through this type of medium. So maybe we should take the time and not be so reliant on technology, and should be able to separate ourselves. And that's it.